Now, could there be something good maybe for the future of Zebec? I don't see why not, because not too long ago, Wojtek Satorsky, which by the way is the founder of GateKnox, something that Zebec recently acquired, he did an interview. Now, would I be rather watching this interview or a show on Netflix or HBO Max or whatever? I mean, that's debatable, but even besides that point, when I take a look at Wojtek, he is allegedly leading Zebec's ISO 20022 compliance initiatives. Now, let's just think about this, right? ISO 20022. Why is this crucial? It's because if we take a look at that, that is currently being used by many financial institutions from all around the world for something called inter-organizational data exchange. For example, projects out there that have this aspect are Ripple, of course, right? We take a look at Stellar. We also take a look at Algorand. But then here's the thing. For a project that is heavily focused on the global trade and finance market, that is heavily focused on the payments market, much like Zebec, I think being focused on, again, having that compliance, right, is crucial. Because if a project is focused on this space, but it doesn't have an aspect of that, it's like a little bit, kind of counterintuitive, a little bit in my opinion. Because imagine if a project said it's focused on NFTs, but they don't have any NFTs. It's kind of like, what? You know what I mean? This is just the way to take a look at it. So I like this when it comes to Zebec. Now, the ISO 20022 part, at least the compliance when it comes to that would just be the cherry on top for me. But again, only time will tell, but I'm still very excited. I mean, come on, right? Even Algorand has an aspect of that. And Algorand's not even really that focused on these type of markets anyways, I get it, Algorand, fundamentally amazing. I'm actually very bullish on Algorand, but then, come on, if Algorand could do that, Zebec, arguably, I get it, ZBCN way lower market cap, but why can't it do that maybe too, right? That's the way I view it. Now, let's say ZBCN went to the price of 10 cents. People are saying, oh man, take a look at, we had a pretty good, small recovery, I would say. Then now things are having a little bit of a pullback, but the way you take a look at it is that 10 cents, you know what? I still don't think it's that bad for me anyways. I mean, it's around a 29x from here. I'm not telling anyone to do anything when it comes to ZBCN, by the way, but the way you take a look at it is Ethereum hypothetically going to do around a 29x in the next 6 to 10 months? This is very questionable to me because if I take a look at Ethereum going to 10 grand, which many people are saying it's like their most bullish, kind of like target, right? But 10 grand is just slightly over 3x from here, So, I mean, I just kind of don't get it at this point. I mean, if I got an Ethereum years ago, now that's a totally different case. But as of right now, I don't know why I would do that. This is just my perspective. So, also imagine, right? ZBCN 10 cents, market cap, considering current circulating supply around $8.5 billion, that's not even like 10% of BNB's current market cap. So this is not something that I find too ridiculous, at least personally in my perspective, but again, only time will tell. But, I mean, just imagine, right? How quickly the sentiments change when things just pump a little bit. Imagine if that Bitcoin dominance drops and we do, let's say hypothetically, maybe see a fully fledged type of altcoin season. I think maybe what we even saw not too long ago, I'm not talking about the most recent slight pump, I'm talking about the one before when ZBCN really kind of woke up in a pretty good way. I think that could maybe look like not such a big deal moving forward because ZBCN did that not too long ago without much of a catalyst. I mean, let's just think about this. What was the catalyst for ZBCN back then to do that? There wasn't really that much, if any, in my opinion. I mean, sure, some of the backers, when it comes to something like Zebec, is Solana Ventures, and Circle, which is the creator of USDC, so some people could argue that. But they've been, in that narrative for quite a while already, even before that, right? So then, I don't think that's a strong argument to kind of say that, oh, ZBCN did that because Circle and Solana Ventures kind of believed in it. Well, they believed in it before. Why wasn't it doing that good before that, right? In the kind of medium time frame, So at the same time, ZBCN kind of did that, I feel like kind of without really anything to latch onto in the grand scheme of things. Not to mention, when people like to say, oh, it's because Zebec acquired Science Card UK or GateKnox, but then we were kind of aware of that news when ZBCN was already doing pretty good. So then, how was that a catalyst, right? I kind of feel like if ZBCN was able to do that not too long ago, without much of a catalyst, without much to relatch onto the project, also at the same time, without altcoins really having any sort of major catalyst anyways, what would ZBCN do if the market was, let's say, way better, right? This is just my perspective. So 10 cents wouldn't surprise me, but again, that is just my mindset. I mean, only time will tell, and I'm not telling anyone to do, again, anything when it comes to ZBCN. This is just my thought process, but this is the way to take a look at it. And if we take a look at the competitors when it comes to Zebec as of right now, there's not that many. I mean, let's just break this down. Of course, we know the market leaders, Ripple, Stellar. But then, of course, we also have XPR, we have XCN, we have XDC. But beyond that, who are the competitors when it comes to Zebec? Zebec is never defeating, by the way, the top two that I just mentioned, Ripple, Stellar. It's never defeating that. So its kind of competition is already kind of limited to XDC, XPR, Swiftcoin, and XCN. So how is that many? That's not 10, you know? If there's like 20, 30 major competitors like what we see in other sectors, like for instance, you know, DeFi, blockchain gaming, you know, NFTs, AI, whatever, that's a totally different case, because at that point it's kind of like a toss-up, right? Who knows who's really ever gonna kind of like make it in a sense. But Zebec, not that much competition. And that's kind of like, wow, when I take a look at that. And I don't think it was that way just because people didn't really believe in this space. I think it's because of all the years of the Ripple and SEC stuff, which hopefully now is gone forever. Because of those years still, though, I felt like many developers were maybe a little bit apprehensive to kind of enter into a space that may not necessarily have that sort of reputation. So I think maybe a lot of these developers were like, okay, we're going to put a lot of time, effort, resources, and then we're going to be entering a space that doesn't have the best reputation. I think they instead kind of focus towards other sectors, maybe like AI or like blockchain gaming or DeFi or NFTs, whatever the case may be. But then I think as a result of that now, it may just hypothetically be a good thing at the end actually for something like Zebec. And not only that, of course, other projects that are within this space, but then there's not that many. So ZBCN market cap, relatively speaking, not that high in my opinion, right? It's not like a multi-billion-dollar thing. It's not, right? I like the community. I like the exchange listings. And again, it's not a microcap, so it doesn't feel too kind of like unnecessary to me, right? Where I don't really want to believe in a microcap anyways, but then I don't want to believe in something that has like a very massive market cap to begin with. And then again, combine that with Zebec not having that many competitors. This is something that I hypothetically want to believe in. I'm not telling on anyone's behalf, but this is just the way I take a look at it. However, again, only time will tell, but I'm still staying patient, holding, and just waiting. And that's it, because if that, again, Bitcoin dominance drops, if that altcoin season really kicks into fifth gear, I don't want to just be there out in the sidelines and not really being here. So I want to be prepared. I'm just holding and just waiting. That's it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I would greatly appreciate it. It's only the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.